I'm Anya. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm part of the TeenTix New Guard, which is the TeenTix Youth Leadership Board, and also the teen editorial staff. So I write and edit arts criticism for the TeenTix blog. And my snack, I brought some dates.
Hi, I'm Elisheba Johnson. People also call me Liz. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. I am one of 4 co-founders of Wari, which is a Black Arts Center in Seattle's Central District. And Wari is a social practice project, but also a nonprofit organization that really is investigating what does it look like to reclaim land for Black people in the Central District. And we give that land back to the community in the form of a Black Arts Center. So we have rotating art exhibits, music shows, community gatherings, etc.
Could you explain what social practice, what that means?
Oh yeah, totally, right? Because social practice is a new word for something that people have actually been doing since the beginning of time. Some people make art objects and put them in a gallery, and some people, their art is working with community, or the process is their art making. So we as artists, in this particular case, we're really interested in what does it mean to rent a house that's owned by a Black homeowner in a neighborhood that is experiencing lots of displacement of Black people, and then, gifting that house back to Black people. So that's why we say that's the art, even though you can't see that part. We're but that's the part as artists that we feel like is the action. And social practice looks like that sometimes. You can't see it, but it's happening.
Definitely. What kind of art were you interested in high school, and what kind of art are you interested in now? How has that changed?
I'm glad that organizations like TeenTix exist. It didn't exist, obviously, when I was a young person. I was really into poetry, actually, and I always said poetry has saved my life because I was really depressed and even suicidal when I was 13, and that was kind of finding my voice and doing spoken word was really powerful and important to me, and I still do that. But in terms of the visual arts, I never thought that had anything to do with me. And to be honest, I was oh, that's white people painting Van Gogh. So it wasn't until I was a senior and a teacher showed me Romeo Bearden's work, and he's this Black collage artist. And then everything started making sense, and I saw a place for myself in the art world. And then in college, it made more sense because I had a teacher talk about how contemporary art has taken the place of what philosophy it still is acting in the place of how philosophers did in the past. Art is the way that I actually talk about ideas with other people. And that's what I'm really interested in. I think we can talk about race, class, sex, gender, politics, all through art. And that's exciting to me.
That's really interesting. I've never thought about art as a form of philosophy. When I think of philosophy, I also think of old white guys. So it's interesting to recontextualize what that means.
And I forgot to say, my snack is my coffee because I can't live without it. So Anya, I'm really interested in what has been your most pivotal art moment?
I feel like joining TeenTix and joining the TeenTix New Guard especially, it was kind of a happy accident that I found TeenTix, just because the year I was applying to the New Guard, they asked for peer recommendations. And so my friend reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I'm applying to this cool program. Would you be my peer recommendation?" And I had no idea what TeenTix was. And I looked on the website and I thought, this is really cool. So I asked her to be my peer recommendation, and I applied for the program as well. If I hadn't been on the New Guard, I wouldn't have known about Teen Editorial's group, and I wouldn't be interested in arts criticism and just kind of seeing all the art that Seattle has to offer. Before, I did art, but I didn't actively go out and see art. But I think TeenTix has definitely helped me with that, and I've learned a lot.
Well, and it's really important work because art criticism and, art exhibitions have always had this relationship to each other, so it's exciting to hear that that you're doing that and you want to keep doing that work, because as we're in this new world, this COVID world, I think our artists are going to need people like you. I mean, you're an artist too, but you know what I mean?
Why do you think art access is an essential human right?
Even though I grew up in a house with a writer, we never really went to art galleries or museums. And so, like I said, I didn't even see that as part of my world. And now it's the thing that makes me whole as a person to go experience arts. I feel like there's got to be more people like me that feel like they aren't welcome in these spaces. And sometimes I still don't feel welcome in those spaces, as a Black woman. And I go into certain spaces and people look at me like, what are you doing there? And I take that feeling and try to help other people, deconstruct that for other people and organizations. In my personal practice, I consider myself a public artist, which is why I teach public art a lot. And public art, kind of in its ethos, is about everybody having access to art, right? Like, you don't have to go in a particular building, you don't have to pay a fee, and it's in your neighborhood. It should represent the communities that it's placed in. So I'm really interested in what does it mean for culturally relevant art making. I think communities should be able to own their artworks, like have ownership over it. They should feel like it belongs to them. And I think the public realm, if you walk around and start looking at your visual environment, you start realizing how important it is to have art. Like, in this moment, when all the businesses had to be boarded up and then all these artists painted on those boards, it gives you so much joy, right? Like, just that moment of that. And I think that's a great example of like how important having art in our visual environment is. I mean, I think it's really important for art people to engage in, young people to engage in art. But I want to know why you think it's important for young people to engage in art, and specifically in this moment right now.
When I'm looking at art, it's like I'm stepping into someone else's shoes. I'm understanding their experiences and their culture and their beliefs and their viewpoints in a way that, like, not to diss STEM maybe, but like science and technology doesn't always have the capability to do. It's really important just to build empathy and build connections, that young people are engaging in art. And especially right now, just because we are socially isolated, I think art has this ability to kind of feed our soul and connect to the human inside of us and connect us to the outside world, whether that be like through a book or through a visual art piece you find online or through Netflix. It's definitely important just to keep us sane.
It teleports you. Yes, I totally agree.
How have you seen the definition of art change over your career / your arts going experience?
The definition is always shifting and changing. You look at the history of art, going back to like cultural art making, right? People doing statues, right? And then you go to the Renaissance and it's still about the ruling class, but it's still paintings, it's about privilege. Then you bring in photography. Painters didn't have to paint people anymore because you take a photo. So then that's when you kind of get abstract. So I say that to say, like, it's always shifting and changing. And then you look at like a Marcel Duchamp who put a urinal in the gallery and said it was art. And then we're like, what? And I feel like from that moment, now it's just like anything's art. We're opened up as a field to lots of different things. Art can just be this general container for us kind of experimenting with life. What type of art are you watching, engaging in right now? What is helping you to sustain?
My sister has started a baking vlog. So she's like baking something every single day that we've been in quarantine. So I go on her blog and I read her blog entries and I like all her photos. And I also get to eat. So that has been helping me, I guess, staying connected because we all eat her food at the dinner table. And also, in terms of me personally, I have been writing a bit more just because there are so many cool virtual events online. I've been checking out those.
Yeah, I'm watching a lot of artist talks on Instagram and watching a lot of old comedy stuff on YouTube because I kind of need to like not be depressed about the world. And I've been noticing, like, I've been talking to artists too, and they're like, I'm stuck. And I'm like, we all are. It's okay. So I do feel like once people kind of unstuck themselves, right, like the longer we're in quarantine, then we'll start seeing some really interesting creative stuff. But I also feel like I'm part of this productivity, like work all the time culture. And so I also want to give the artist community a break to just breathe now that we have it. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I definitely feel like conversations between artists are really helpful, like our conversation right now. It's nice to have that artistic connection with someone, and if life is art, then our conversations are art as well.
Oh, totally. I was like, I'm a big Adrian Piper fan, and she is this Black performance artist and really did some pioneering pioneering in that space in the 70s and 80s. And so she had this retrospective at the Museum of Modern Art in New York a couple of years ago. And so I was like, I'm going to get a ticket. I'm going to go. And like, it's like a pilgrimage to my Holy Grail. And so I go, and I just was like so into it. But one of the pieces she had was an audio recording of a conversation with her boyfriend where they were arguing about philosophy. And she was like, you're wrong. Da-da-da-da, I'm right. And it was an artwork. So like what we were saying before, it was like, you know, who would have thought if I just like recorded one of my long conversations with my boyfriend, that could be an art piece. So yeah, I'm excited for, like you said, this is art. We're doing it right now.
A little meta. But...
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna then say thank you so much. This was such a great gift and opportunity. Anytime somebody wants to talk to me about what I do, I'm like, really? And you're so smart and incredible. So it's just great to talk to people who are going to change the world. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. This expanded the definition of art that I had before. So, pretty cool, I think.